welcome to Pod People High School, where you too can be one of us. I'm Matisse Fenrossum, and I'm not an alien, I'm discontent.
I'm Ben Sheets, and I only run when I'm being chased.
I'm Cleveland Mosier, and I'm not an alien, I just really love chugging water. But this time not Voss water, any water will do.
Yeah, beggars can't be choosers in Skibbity, Ohio. Welcome back to the podcast, dear listeners.
See, they should have, if this was a 2024 remake, they would have done Grimace Shakes.
Oh, dude, you're so right. The aliens love their Grimace Shakes.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Man, we were just saying it, but time is dead ass a gimmick.
I hate all of this.
Well, we're back. We're bringing you another Patreon pick episode. This pick this week comes from honorary pod boy Zach, who always likes to hit us with some interesting picks out of the cut. And we're talking about the 1998 Robert Rodriguez film The Faculty, which was a delightful first-time watch for all three of us.
Yeah, I'll say.
Yeah, it was great. This movie's been on my radar for a while. I've seen most of Robert Rodriguez's stuff. You know, he's a good director. A little hit or miss sometimes, but always interesting.
Yeah. And we all grew up on the Spy Kids movies, of course, people of our generation.
This movie came out right between From Dusk Till Dawn and the Spy Kids trilogy. The OG one. So it's like peak of his era, so to speak.
Yeah, this is and we noticed in the credits, none of us knew this. The screenplay is by Kevin Williamson,
Who did the Scream trilogy, the first three, I think.
Which frankly makes so much sense for this movie, because I think it's doing a lot of the same kind of things, albeit maybe not so openly satirical, but I mean, this is sort of leaning in and very much paying homage and doing riffs on a different type of horror movies, which is, you know, your alien invasion of the body snatchers kind of deal, and also sort of satirizing like a lot of 80s high school
Breakfast Club
teen comedies,
very specifically. I think Invasion of the Body Snatchers meets Breakfast Club is a pretty solid
meets like Class of 98. Was that 99 Class of 99? Oh yeah,
I made the joke 98 because this came out
in 98. Yeah, go back and listen to our episode on Class of 99.
Go watch Class of 99.
Also do that. But this was a lot of fun. I'm like you. I generally like a lot of Robert Rodriguez's stuff. Does have some misses in there, but From Dusk Till Dawn is a classic, and Spy Kids movies are a lot of. I mean, I don't know how they hold up.
Childhood nostalgia.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't really speak to how any of those movies have held up because I haven't seen them since I was a literal child.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I remember most strongly the third one, even though
that's like the bad one though.
It is. Well, it's when he like went over the deep end with the CG.
Yes,
I've seen people post joking screenshots from Spy Kids 3D and compare it to like Megalopolis.
Yeah,
because it's so aggressive.
Stylistically aggressive, very much so. And you know, there's some like you were saying while we were watching the movie, Robert Rodriguez loves his big CG effects, and there's plenty of them in this movie that have not aged well, but were always fun, I think. Yeah. It's that kind of late 90s bad CG that is just goofy.
I gotta say, paired with some delightful practicals too.
Oh yeah.
This movie has plenty of both, and I think that makes the goofy CG even more tolerable. It's often followed up by like a dope practical, and again, like you touched on, the CG it's cartoon silly shit. I think that's when CG shines, especially with a film with this kind of like tone. I think it matches the tone.
Yeah,
really well.
Well, I mean, like Robert Rodriguez's style is very loud and aggressive in a lot of respects. You know, he does a lot of active punch-ins.
Often speed ramped, too. Like
goofy cuts paired with, you know, Mickey Mouse music cues at times.
Yeah.
So that paired with silly CG just makes it feel like a cartoon.
Yes.
Yeah, and again, the overall
the right
tone,
ways.
the overall tone of the film really helps that too. Like, I think it can be a little bit harder to forgive like bad late 90s CG when the film is trying to like take itself if it's like a very serious film, you know. Not to say this film doesn't take itself seriously, because it does. But it's a fun, goofy kind of gonzo horror comedy.
It looks like everyone on set had fun making this movie. It looks
Yeah.
like just one of those like really charming, goofy films that people put love into. That's what I read from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll always appreciate that. It's a lot. Like, I mean, this movie made me smile over like Pearl Jam interludes and stuff, like, which is kind of hard to do.
Yeah, geez,
like yeah.
we were just talking about it while the credits were rolling, but man, the soundtrack of this film is a fucking
Peak 90s.
time capsule.
Yeah.
Late
A lot
90s.
of covers from very 90s bands. Your Sheryl Crow, your Soul Asylum, your Creed.
Alice in Chains.
Well, yeah, it wasn't Alice in Chains. It was
Yeah.
a super. The closing credits. No. Sorry, that's the wrong one. During the football, the big game scene.
Yeah.
There's a cover of The Wall, Another Brick in the Wall, but it's by Class of '99, which is who all is in that super?
It's a super group that was formed just for the song only.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
They never
yeah,
did
no,
anything
no, no,
else.
no.
Okay, I was gonna say I
the
feel
studio
like
just like shilled for it, which is awesome.
I felt like I would have known about this
Right?
supergroup
Yeah,
if
no,
they
it
did
was
more stuff.
The lead singer of Alice in Chains, Tom Morello on guitar, the drummer from Jane's Addiction, the bassist from Porno for Pyros, and the keyboardist from Soul Asylum, I think. But yeah, talk about like 90s.
Yeah, they got them together
core.
just to do a cover of Pink Floyd for this song.
Yeah.
That's wild that they didn't get those musicians together to do an original song.
No, because they have to get like it's like it's the youth rebelling against like the high school faculty. You got to get the corny misuse of "We Don't Need No Education" in there.
Yeah, I guess. It's
and
very-
then to do like a '90s like supergroup cover of it.
It's very on the nose.
Wild.
Honestly, the movie opens with an Offspring song playing over the football practice, and honestly, I feel like they could have just had the Offspring do the entire soundtrack for this movie, and it would have been apropos. It has a lot of that kind of like angsty late teen energy, you know.
Right off the bat,
Come
like,
out and play.
yeah,
kinda
like
shit.
you know it's the football practice. The guys are hitting each other. Like the Offspring are playing right off the bat. I've just got a big smile on my face.
Dude,
It
it's
stayed
great.
there the whole movie.
And just like the first probably 15 minutes of this movie was just us constantly doing the Leo DiCaprio pointing at the TV.
What a who's who?
Because we have to.
Oh my god!
Okay, so like basic premise of this film is Invasion of the Body Snatchers meets Breakfast Club. They're aliens start taking over the school, taking over the teachers, and a ragtag group of teens have to fight back against them. Again, very Class of '99. But on the faculty side, we've got, let's see if I can even remember everybody. We've got Robert Patrick first off. He's the football
he's
coach.
The
He's the first one we see.
and he's hamming it up in this movie.
I mean he's hamming it up the entire movie.
Yeah,
Which is so great,
which
'cause,
is
like,
fantastic.
as the T-1000, like what he's known for, like that role is so robotic and stoic.
The
and,
stoicism.
yeah, and here, like, even though like he's playing like kind of a similar like invader, you know, disguised as a person, like he couldn't play it like any more differently.
He's the first one who gets taken over. So like for most of the movie, he is doing like a kind of like emotionless pod person kind of deal. But even so,
he's just like a big doofy grin
he's
with
still
it.
doing that big. But anyway, I just want to go through the list of all the actors
Please
before
do.
we get bogged down in it. So Robert Patrick's the first one we see. Piper Laurie is one of the teachers. We've also got fucking Femke Jensen, Jon Stewart is the science teacher. That was very surprising. Salma Hayek is the school nurse. The history teacher is Daniel Von something. I just had it a second ago. Give me a second. Daniel Von Bargen, who that name might not be familiar to everybody, but I know him as George Costanza's boss, Mr. Kruger, in the late seasons of Seinfeld. Honestly, playing a very similar character in this. He's great. Am I overlooking anybody on the teacher's side? Anybody notable?
You said Famke Jensen?
I did say Famke Jensen, yeah. Not a teacher, but one of the students' dads is Christopher McDonald.
Yes.
He's very good as
Yeah.
well. He doesn't have a huge role. I think that's all the teachers. Now we have to move on to the students.
Which is also just a stacked cast.
Set cast. Some of these were, I think, kind of unknowns at the time. We've got an early Josh Hartnett role here. He's very good. Elijah Wood is like sort of the main kid.
Baby Elijah
Baby
Wood.
Elijah. I mean, you say that, but like this movie came out, I think, the year they started filming Lord of the Rings.
Well, I mean, Lord of the Rings
so it's
is
like,
Baby Elijah Wood, too.
I guess,
Yeah, it's like 20 years ago.
but it's more than 20 years ago.
I mean, it's weird to say that about Elijah Wood, though, because he started as a child actor.
Yeah.
So baby Elijah Wood is like
is actual baby Elijah Wood.
I guess that's fair. It was cool seeing him in this movie.
Is
Sorry,
he-
we
is
won't get
he
back
in-
to the actors, but like, it was really cool seeing him in this movie. It made a lot of sense to me because, like, in his latter career, like, he's been moving back into like schlocky, kind of corny horror films.
Oh,
and the
yeah.
like. Wasn't it a Come to Daddy?
Yeah, dude. Come to
like,
Daddy
that was great, and like, I think a very similar tone to this.
He's
film.
in the fucking Macon Blair Toxic Avenger remake that has been finished for years,
yeah,
but cannot find a goddamn distributor.
I want to see that movie.
I'm gonna fucking blow my brains out if I don't get to see that movie in a movie theater. But okay, yeah. So some of the other kids, Jordana Brewster. I don't know if she was in anything before this or if this was like an early role.
But she was in most of the Fast
And the Furious movies. Yeah, Clea Duvall plays like the goth girl. She hasn't been in like a ton of huge movies, but she's been in a lot of TV.
She's an Argo.
Yeah, she's an Argo, that's right. And fucking Shauna Tozy, who is also like a TV actor, but just like between all of these people, it's like it is just absolutely insane how many like 90s character actors are in this movie.
Well, Usher.
Oh, Usher, of course. How could I forget Usher?
I can't believe you forgot Usher.
He's a relatively small part in this movie. But
It's funny though because he's a small part, but they put him on the poster because of course.
Because it's Usher.
Right.
Well, and he's also, like, he's one of the first people we see in the movie because he's one of the football players. So, like, when we see, like, Robert Patrick, like, yelling at him and the other football players at the very beginning. Just crazy.
What other movies has Jon Stewart done? Because around the same time he did the what was that? Which stoner comedy was that he was in? Or
Is he in Half-Baked?
Is he in Half-Baked? I think
it's
so,
Half-Baked.
yeah.
Yes, it's Half-Baked.
It's
Isn't
been a long time
Half-Baked?
since I've seen that.
Oh, I guess he was in Death to Smoochie.
Oh, that's a fun movie.
Yeah.
Underrated.
He's always, like, so great in these sorts of, like, kind of, like, goofy comedy roles. And, yeah, it was just kind of fun seeing Jon Stewart.
Yeah,
kind
I
of out
so
of his
heavily-
normal element.
Yeah, I so heavily associate him with like just The Daily Show and nothing else that like it was. I forgot that he used to act and stuff.
Yeah, and it's
like-
always a pleasant surprise. And he's so much fun in this movie,
Yeah.
too. I really like his role.
Yeah, so, we see Robert Patrick yelling at the football players and they all walk off and he starts messing with, like, one of the sprinklers or something. And we see, like, a shadow come up behind him and he turns around and then it cuts to black and then we see, like, some of the teachers and the principal in, like, the teacher's lounge and they're talking about how there's no funding for any of the education stuff. All of the budget is going to football because it's a dinky little football town in middle of nowhere, Ohio.
Well, I love
That's
it
what
too because
everybody
like
wants to see.
I think it's like the history teacher or one of the teachers is like really asking to go on a trip to New York, and the faculty leader is like, no, you're gonna like wherever you go, it has to be in Ohio.
Yeah, you're not going to get out of Ohio.
You're not gonna get out of
yeah,
Ohio.
You're not going to
Thank
get
you,
out of Ohio. and that's on Skibbity. But
Still don't know what that means. That's why don't
I
explain.
don't either. I don't know what it means
Brain
either.
rot phrase.
I'm just saying what the kids say. Apparently, Ohio means cringe. I don't know.
Yeah. You don't have the Gyat or the Riz.
All right, moving on. I regret asking.
Moving on, yeah. So then the principal is in her office, kind of like getting ready to leave for the evening, and Robert Patrick corners her, and he's like advancing on her very creepily, and it's like, oh, is he gonna try to like rape her or something? But he keeps saying, I need a pencil, I need a pencil, I need a pencil.
And she says, take your pencil back home, which I liked.
Yeah, she's like, if you've been drinking, it's like, here, goddamn, here, take a pencil. And she gives it to him, and he just immediately, like, stabs her through the hand. And she tries to run off, but all of the doors have already been chained and padlocked shut, so she can't get out. I like how when he's like, she goes to hide in like the science closet with like all where they keep all the glassware and stuff, and he comes like sprinting into the room after her, like blowing his whistle.
It's so silly. Like.
It's very good, but she smashes him over the head with some stuff.
This is the moment he ran to the room blowing his whistle, where I remembered from the previous week that we were going to be watching a Robert Rodriguez movie.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, that's right. This is a Robert Rodriguez film. Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah, it is. I think this is the first time we've talked about a Robert Rodriguez movie on the podcast.
Yeah, it's crazy. We haven't done From Dusk Till Dawn.
We haven't done From Dusk Till Dawn
Just
yet.
so good.
It is good. Yeah. Maybe you should pick it.
Yeah. Well, I got something I'm picking.
We know.
Yeah.
So the principal like escapes from him, and she manages to get her keys and is able to get outside and lock him in, and she thinks and Piper Laurie is out there who's trying to help her, and she thinks she's safe, and Piper Laurie picks up a pair of scissors that had fallen to the ground and just stabs the shit out of the principal. It's like, okay, she's already been gotten to by whatever this is. And then we cut to the morning with all the students showing up to school, and they do a classic kind of 80s character montage introduction.
Yeah, well, before we move on, I just want to quickly mention the principal getting stabbed is like a great cold open, but also it's kind of confusing with the context of the rest of the movie. Because, like, to transfer the parasite, they don't have to kill anyone or stab anyone.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a misdirection.
Yeah.
It's so they can, when the principal shows up again a couple of scenes later, they can be like, what? I thought she was dead.
Yeah.
Because, like, I guess at this point we're still sort of, like, not really supposed to know what's going on.
Yeah, I feel like at times this movie plays a little fast and loose with its rules. But for a fun movie like this, it doesn't really ultimately matter.
It definitely plays fast and loose with the rules, and there's a few instances of like plot armor kind of stuff, but
the character intros are fantastic.
Then we have to we've introduced a bunch of our teachers, so now we have to do the classic 80s. What is the fucking director's name? I've been trying to bring it to mind, who did The Breakfast Club and all those movies.
Oh, John Hughes?
John Hughes, thank you. I kept wanting to say John Houston, which is not correct.
Nor is Howard Hughes.
Nor is Howard Hughes, or Howard Hawks for that matter. But yes, we get like a classic John Hughes style like character introduction for our teens with all of the, and we get to see all of them in sort of their
natural habitat,
their archetypical high school kind of roles, and they introduce all of them with like a little freeze frame where their name pops up on the screen.
Yeah, the freeze frames are so silly. They remind me a bit of like sitcom intros.
Sure.
Oh yeah. Well, and then over the credits they do the same thing like they do it in Predator, where it's like we again see like with the credits like a shot of the character in the movie.
Yeah, where they were, where are they now? Which is cute. And no, when it started doing the freeze frames with the title intros, I was thinking that this movie would be like, okay, this movie would set us up to have very archetypical characters, which it does do, but that are just essentially cannon fodder, that are just bodies for the creatures. And instead, it again, like, it leans into Breakfast Club, and it does a pretty good job of, like, humanizing these characters, making them fun and relatable and likable.
And the whole point of the movie, too, and I do think, jumping ahead a little bit, I won't get too into detail, but I do think it's a little bit annoying that they just kind of outright, like, say this in, like, the main villain's monologue at the end. But, like, the whole movie is basically about, like, the subversion of these sort of, like, character archetypes. Like, all of these characters have what seems to be like an established role, but, like, once we get to know them, it's constantly about those little subversions to their characters.
Sure. And, I mean, the obvious metaphor in all of this is, like, teenage alienation, right?
Yes.
Like,
and hiding who you really are in favor of what people expect you to be.
Yeah.
Like a worm in a person.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretending to be a human.
Like a worm in a person.
Yeah.
I think
it.
the most obvious example of that, of the students, is the jock character, who's this captain of the football team.
Right.
But is tired of everyone kissing his ass because, you know, that's what he does. He wants to be, you know, thought of as a fully formed human.
As a real
rather
person,
than,
yeah.
You know, this archetype that he's been pushed into.
And he
I
quit.
really like his monologue where he's like,
yeah.
I got a D on my paper in chemistry, but then we won the playoffs or whatever, and so he turned it to an A, and I just still feel like I'm that D student, and I want to be that D student.
Yeah, he's like, I earned that D.
Yeah, so he wants to get better, but he's in a position where, like, he's so beloved that he can't.
Yeah.
And
So he quits.
I like that.
He quits the football team because he wants to focus on his studies. The Jordana Brewster character is like the sort of, like, typical, like, preppy hot girl, you know, like makeup, hairspray, all that kind of stuff. But she is also actually smart, and they do kind of the reverse trope of, like, the nerdy girl who takes off her glasses and boom, she's hot. And they have Jordana Brewster as, like, she's very hot, and then she puts on the glasses to quote-unquote go incognito so people won't recognize her, but it still just looks like Jordana Brewster with glasses on. It's still, like, if you think girls with glasses are hot, then, like, yeah, still very hot. Then you've got the Stokely, I think the character's name is, the goth girl, and this one I think is a little bit has aged less well.
I still think it's great.
It's funny. It's funny as a gag. I think that it's maybe a little bit problematic, but the whole thing is that she's like, you know, your typical, like, butch goth girl with the short hair and the eyeliner and the chains and rings and all black and stuff. But the thing is that she pretends to be a lesbian even though she's not, so that she'll be, because she's too scared to open up to people, so she puts up what she thinks is a repulsive front by being gay in the late 90s to sort of ward people off. And it's sort of treated as, like, wholesome when it's like, oh, she doesn't have to hide behind being a fake lesbian anymore. Now she can be a normal heterosexual white girl, you know? Again, it's kind of a funny gag.
I think it plays into, like, the awkward teen shit, like, really well. I believe it. You know, they're always, like, you know, like, kids at school, like, when we were that age, who would say shit like that too, like, oh,
sure,
just being a lesbian is a front or something stupid. Like, I buy it. Like, even in this, like, cartoon setting, like, I think it works.
It doesn't bear getting too into, but no. My favorite one is also one of my favorite characters in the movie is Josh Hartnett, who plays, like, the cool kid, like Zeke. He pulls up in, like, a sports car and, like, parks horizontally across 3 parking spaces, and he's you know, sort of like
burnout.
Yeah, he's like the cool kid burnout, and he sells drugs and all like any kind of stuff that like the kids at
Fake
school need,
IDs.
fake IDs. Yeah, he's the cool kid who's got all of that stuff. But it also turns out that he's like a science geek. He's like he knows science really well. And we find out later he's been manufacturing his own sort of like knockoff biker speed.
I mean, okay, that we'll get into that scene further, I guess, later, but that scene is absolutely insane.
Oh yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, and that scene bears talking about later. But the reason I bring it up now is because we see him selling it throughout the movie. He's got it in like empty ballpoint pens. Like he's taken the tube of the ink out and replaced them with like this, like I said, like basically biker crank that you like snort out of the pen. And I want to say, I might have misheard, but I want to say that he calls his makeshift drug scat.
Yes, that's correct. Because some of the burnouts that are buying from him, one of them is
Danny
played by
Masterson
infamous-
jump scare.
Yeah, infamous rapist Danny Masterson. Oof.
Well, this movie was produced by infamous rapist Harvey Weinstein and his brother, because it is, of course, a Dimension film.
Or like a demented film.
That too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fucking Danny Masterson jump scare took me by surprise. Thankfully, his role in this is even smaller than Usher's. I think he only shows up in like one other scene.
The one other scene he shows up in is pretty bizarre, because it's the two druggy kids, and they're buying
All of
drugs.
his scat.
Yeah, all of his scat. And then they just ask for more and more, and it seems like they're aliens, I guess.
Yeah, the aliens are trying to clean them out.
Yeah, I think what's implied there is that they know that, spoilers, I guess, that scat is poisonous to them because they're like aquatic based, and since it's basically just caffeine pills, that it's a diuretic, so it dries them up. We find that out later when they kill Jon Stewart, the Jon Stewart alien. So yeah, I think they're just trying to buy, because they're asking like, do you have any more in your locker? Do you have any more in your car?
Yep.
Like they're trying to get it out of his hands because they know that it can hurt them.
Which is fun because it also kind of makes them feel like they're narcs
Yeah,
too, because they're narcs for the aliens.
right,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah, and I like that. I
Well,
like
and
that.
because we don't know that the drug hurts them yet, neither do our characters. So like that's sort of what keys Josh Hartnett off. That he's like they're behaving like narcs.
Yeah. Exactly. And then my favorite relationship with him too is like the hot for teacher dynamic.
Oh yeah, with
like,
Femke Jensen.
With Femke Jensen, where like Femke Jensen at the beginning is like very timid. And I really like, because again it's Femke Jensen who's like, plays like all these like really like strong women roles, like, but yeah, she's like,
Yeah, she's
kind
like
of
the
a quiet-
English teacher.
Yeah, she's like, English
the
teacher.
the bookish, nerdy English
kind
teacher.
of, quiet, like soft-spoken, kind of like afraid of her own class. And she encounters him in the parking lot, and there's this bit of dialogue that I think is awesome, where what is it? She says something about how she's been having a hard time. He offers her some like cough medicine or whatever, and then she he offers her,
she's accusing him. I mean, she's confronting him about selling drugs in school.
Yes,
she
sorry,
knows that
yeah,
he's
yeah.
doing that, but she's not very. She's timid, so she's being sort of like quiet about it. Like she's not taking charge.
right, and that's where he offers her laxatives.
So
to, like,
yeah, so
loosen her
he's
up, which is funny.
he's like, oh yeah, I've got some stuff for you. Is like, oh, you need to loosen up. So he pulls out his laxatives and is like, oh, what about this? And he pulls out a box of condoms, Magnum, cherry flavored.
well, what he specifically says too is, yeah, you can have these on me.
Yeah, he says it's on
It's
me.
awful.
Yeah,
It's so fucking it's such a fucking nasty line.
nice little Robert Rodriguez double entendre.
And like, I don't know, this movie is just so full of lines like that. Again, like, take your pencil back home, have these condoms on me, like shit like that. Like all the sleazy dialogue in this movie is just, I don't know. There's something about it. It's almost cute, Like,
I mean, they're very Kevin Williamson-isms. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the same kind of stuff that comes up in the Scream movies.
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I really, really liked the dialogue in this film. I thought, it's all like pretty cheeky and fun, and again, just
I thought
constantly left a
I
smile
thought
on
the
my
movie
face.
was overall quite well written.
It really is.
Again, like Ben said, there's some times where it plays a little bit fast and loose with its own rules, and you get some instances of plot armor. But like overall,
It's
I thought
always
the
in
script,
favor of fun sequences, and that's
Exactly.
frankly, in a movie like this, more important.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Fuck plot. Like, this is not. Yeah, that's not what this movie's about. Like, for sure. It's about themes.
So the last two teens that we need to talk about is Elijah Wood, of course, and he's sort of like the computer nerd. Sort of takes a while for it to reveal itself, but he ultimately plays the hero, so that's the kind of subversion of his archetype. And then you've got the new girl who comes in and immediately is able to make a bunch of friends and stuff.
Mary Beth Sue.
Mary Beth, Llewellyn, Susie Ann, something. And she's from Atlanta, down south in Atlanta. Very folksy. So all these characters kind of start separated in their own little corners of everything, but they've got like some crossover. Like Elijah Wood and Jordana Brewster are both on like the school paper and stuff like that. Anyway, Elijah Wood goes out to the football field. He's out there eating lunch, and Robert Patrick sort of confronts him as he leaves. He's like, "What are you doing out there? This isn't cafeteria or whatever." And he's like, "You're not really into sports. Oh, I've seen you around. You're not really into sports, are you?" Yeah, and Elijah Wood says, I believe that people shouldn't run unless they're being chased.
Hilarious.
Which is funny, yeah, because they end up being chased quite a bit in this movie. But while he's out there, he finds something sort of strange on the ground, and in typical nerd fashion, he has to go take it and show it to the science teacher, to Jon Stewart, to be like, "Hey, I found something weird. What do you think it is?" And I like how he does it during class, and so like the whole class is like kind of standing around looking at, as Jon Stewart looking through the microscope and doing a little autopsy on this like weird little, kind of like dried up worm looking thing. It looks kind of like a butterfly cocoon or something. And that's when we get Josh Hartnett revealing his like sort of nerdy science knowledge, and they accidentally knock over like a beaker of water, and it splashes onto the thing, and they see it
Animates.
it starts moving a little bit, and they're like, "Oh." And Jon Stewart's like, "Oh, well, if getting wet revived it, what if I go put it in the fish tank?" They just have a big empty fish tank, because science class, I guess. And it starts swimming around, and it grows like some long tendrils, and it pulls out some little teeth. This CG looks terrible.
Terribly fun.
Yeah, it's cute. The little wormy thing swimming around. And
I like
then
it's like how it's like half transparent, like you can see through it.
Yeah,
All of its
exactly.
organs and stuff.
Like some kind of like deep sea fish or something.
Yeah.
And it splits in half and creates another one. So we know that it can they can reproduce, asexual. They can, a sort of cellular division, Yeah,
it reminded me a little bit of like when they look at the creature in the movie, like 2000, called Evolution. When they look at the creature in the water container.
Yeah.
It reminded me of that a lot.
Ivan Reitman directed that movie. I remember seeing that in theaters.
Was it Slither, I want to say?
The James Gunn movie.
The James Gunn film,
Mm-hmm.
the touches of Slither as well, I think.
Yeah, both of those movies came after this one. Evolution was, I want to say, like
Interesting.
2000, 2001.
It's funny that both those movies have come after this one. I think this one's probably aged better.
I mean, geez, I haven't seen Evolution since I was a kid, but Slither rules. Slither holds up. That movie is great. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I think Slither is probably a little better than this movie. Yeah, so we, get some more of the, like, some of the teachers behaving strange. Robert Patrick is is in the teacher's lounge, just like constantly drinking water from the water cooler with the little paper cones.
I love how the other teacher comes in while they're spying on them, and instead of drinking the water, she splashes it in her own face.
Piper Laurie, yeah, she comes in and just like splashes it. I love how Elijah Wood sees Robert Patrick out on the football field standing in the middle of all the sprinklers.
It Follows kind of
just like
bit.
standing there with his arms crossed, just like in the middle of all of the sprinklers, just like soaking wet.
Yeah, like it's set up like it follows like he's in the class, like working when he slowly looks out the window. We see him framed,
Well, it's
over
like
his
Halloween,
shoulder.
right?
Halloween,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a much better comparison. Yeah, and
A Michael Myers kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, and like he's always like the score is always like so intense whenever they show that too, and there's like a punch in, and again there's always like a big orchestral sting, and it's so silly because he's always doing like this goofy like smirk as well. Like it's great.
I think in that he's standing out there like totally stone faced, like arms crossed, just like being drenched by the sprinklers. It's very, very funny. But yeah, so Elijah Wood, he's noticing some weird stuff, but he and Jordana Brewster break into the faculty lounge because they're trying to dig up some dirt for a scoop for the school paper. And when they're in there, they hear somebody at the door, so they do your classic hop in the closet to hide. And Robert Patrick and Piper Laurie come in. They're sort of talking mysteriously, and then Salma Hayek comes in, the school nurse.
While they're watching, there's a really creepy moment between Jordana Brewster and Elijah Wood.
Oh, where he like sniffs her?
Yeah, well, it's established like right before they go into the closet that Elijah Wood has a crush on her.
I mean, because of course.
Yeah.
But also that like she's kind of into it.
Yeah.
Because she's being like very much a bitch, and he's like, you can be such a, and she's like, such a what? And he's like, such a cool person sometimes when you're not being a complete and total bitch, that is.
follows it with a thing anyway.
Yeah, follows through and says it anyway. But she's like, are you hitting on me? He's like, what? No, I just think that you're a cool person. But like, she's kind of like, she kind of seems like she's into it.
I mean,
So yeah, then when they go in the closet, like he's just like leans over, just like sniffs, and she kind of looks at him like, what the
Fuck. Like, I love it too because like it's this movie's like full of subversions that I found to be very true in high school too, where it's like the jock is actually like kind of the nice guy and the nerds are the ones who suck because they don't have social skills, so they're often like kind of pieces of shit. And like,
yeah, I mean, just look at Revenge of the Nerds.
right, and how that's aged and
Not well.
yeah,
Not well.
But yeah, it's the reason I don't really like hanging out at card shops and places like that because unlike in movies, like nerds like that just don't have like the social skills to be like nice people. Like I just tend
Well,
to
hey,
find...
let's avoid stereotypes. That's what the movies.
That's what the movie's
That's
about.
what the
yeah.
movie's all about.
but-
Not all nerds are weird, stinky perverts.
Not all nerds are like you, Tease. That's fair. You're right.
I'm one of a kind, baby. But while they're hiding in there, yeah, Selma Hayek comes in, and Robert Patrick and Piper Laurie attack her and hold her down, and Patrick Stewart. Robert Patrick vomits up a slug and
Into her ear.
into her ear. Just in terms of like when this came out too, and thinking about childhood stuff, this all reminded me very much of Animorphs. Did y'all? I know you read
Sure,
Animorphs as a
yeah.
kid.
Sure.
That's the fucking Yeerks, the
Yeerks.
the slugs that you put in people's ears and they control their brains like that. They take over their bodies and control their brains. Like that just is this movie. Yeah. So they freak out and they find they sort of recoil, and another classic that they do is like they sort of like back up and bump into something and a dead body falls out. The dead body of like one of the other old teachers who we saw sort of like go after the jock guy in the shower. And he just like pulled like a big piece of her scalp off. So they find her body, and it makes a noise and alerts the aliens to their presence. The dead body puppet was pretty good.
Oh yeah, again, it's really good stuff. I saw Greg Nicotero's in the credits too.
Yeah,
which, again, makes a lot of sense. Like,
he was one of like 3 credited like main special effects artists. I didn't catch the other names, but yeah, I mean, again, like when they do use practicals, which there still is plenty of in this movie, like. It's all really good.
Look, and this is like Greg Nicotero's heyday too. I mean, this is well after even Army of Darkness and like some of the other like awesome movies that he worked on. Like,
yeah, late 90s. And so this sort of alerts the aliens to the fact that people have seen them, that there's some people on to them, and it kind of begins a prolonged sort of cat and mouse kind of thing where Elijah Wood tries to get his parents and the police involved, but you know, there's no evidence, and Salma Hayek is like, oh yeah, I'm fine, you know, she's infected by an alien now, and the principal like infects one of the police officers when they're there. They just got to get somebody alone for just a couple of minutes, you know, and that's all it takes. Then we're really getting deep into Invasion of the Body Snatchers territory.
Well, Elijah Wood, you know, for making this seemingly false claim to, you know, his parents, they ground him and take away his phone and his internet and his pornos from under his bed.
I love that scene where they're going through and they're just like grabbing all of the stuff, and like you said, like the phone, like he rips like the modem out of the wall, his old fucking Apple computer, takes his boom box, and then the mom is kind of like sort of gestures towards the bed. She's like, his porno. It's kind of like she just want to say it too out loud, and the dad's like, oh, his porno, and like reaches under the mattress and pulls out a couple magazines. One of the magazines is just called Boob. Not even boobs, one boob, singular. Boob magazine.
There are so many fun like little like graphics in this movie. Like always in the background of the set, there's like silly little signs posted everywhere. Again, like just so much love like put into this movie like that. I love it too. Like the dad, he picks up Boob magazine. He's like, sorry son, you're gonna have to, what do you say, whip the bishop? What is the expression? It's something, flog,
yeah,
flog
no more flogging the bishop or something like that.
But yeah, like throughout, you always get those like Dare style posters, but they're always on theme to the film in some little capacity.
My favorite detail about Boob magazine is like right after the parents leave, 5 seconds later, Elijah Wood is like escaping through the window.
Yeah.
And he trips out, and the dad catches him. But when the dad catches him, he still has Boob magazine in his hand.
Yeah, he's like rolled up.
I just want to fly with it. So funny. Also the school mascot I think is also like a funny theme choice because they're the Hornets, and you know Hornets have a queen bee or whatever as well. Or actually, do they? Hold on, I should slow down. I pump the brakes.
I think they do. I don't know if they're like bees, but they do make hives. And also there's a good gag later at the football game that I think you noticed, Cleveland. I missed it, where somebody had yeah, again, something that hasn't aged super well, but I think is funny enough that I want to mention it, is that was it written on one of the school buses or on the cars or something?
Yeah, one of the students' cars, you know, like before a football game, everyone's writing slogans on their windows with like car paint and stuff, and one of them says, "Me so Hornet."
Yeah, I mean...
Like, it's just, there's a lot of that. Again, it's the 90s, so of course.
We might have just missed it. I would be surprised if there wasn't one that says honk if you're Hornet and somewhere in there.
They're everywhere. They're all over the movie. Like, there's one in the gymnasium that says, like, pep rally at blank time, be there. Like, there's...
Those are different bugs. They fucked up their...
Yeah, close enough.
Fast and loose with
But it's like, they also would be in a high school like that, you know, like, it's good enough, you know.
In
like,
service of the pun, the pun is all that really matters.
But yeah, you know, all the like, you know, like watch out kind of stuff. There's like this really like kind of fucking weird painting of like two hands holding the globe, but like they're rising up out of like a sea of thorns. Did y'all see that? Like some really like
no, I missed that one.
Yeah, I was like the background was really really fun.
I didn't see
to,
the
like,
one with
catch
the,
little, like, silly details.
the weightlifting one that said like clean and jerk
Clean and jerk
or something like that.
Yeah, that's great.
Shortly after this, we get like sort of all of our characters together involved because Elijah Wood goes to Stokely, to the goth, not lesbian. I guess another one of her sort of like subversions that she's like a sci-fi nerd. So they go to her to like, because she knows all of the rules for these types of things.
Yeah, because she loves reading
Classic
Heinlein.
Scream move, right?
Right, yeah, where they directly mention by name Invasion of the Body Snatchers multiple times. And I thought it was kind of goofy and funny that like Elijah Wood has this little theory that like that the whole thing is an even larger conspiracy, and that like our whole culture of like alien invasion like lore and movies, he like they just rattles off a bunch of movies like Independence Day, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, all that stuff, is that it has been the aliens on Earth all along planting the seeds as fiction so nobody will believe that they're real.
Very silly. He also theorizes like, oh yeah, the reason that they're invading here and not the White House is so they can come in through the back door.
Yeah, the back door of Ohio.
Yeah, in a high school in Ohio. It's so good. Like,
I mean, Ohio is kind of
Skibbity.
it's
not Riz.
It is kind of America's
pretty
back.
cringe,
Yeah,
in fact.
pretty.
It's
wild.
kind of America's back door in the sense that it's America's butthole.
Thanks. This is that's a little bit of love for our Ohio listeners.
Ohio listeners. Listen, look, I mean, Cleveland and I can't talk. We're from Alabama. Like, let us do a little bit of friendly rizzing.
I don't.
Rizzling.
All right. We've got to move on.
Oh my god.
Let's keep it rolling.
God damn it. Yeah, so Elijah Wood gets her involved. Then they get the jock involved because at the beginning he's dating Jordana Brewster. So like she gets him involved, and they're all like in the empty science class, like kind of they go to look for the alien in the tank, but it's not there, and it's like, oh, he must have sent it off upstate to the university or whatever. And at the same time, in an adjoining room, Josh Hartnett is with the new girl, because he's in like the science utility closet stealing stuff so he can cook his drugs at home for his Breaking Bad meth lab, yeah. And so they start making out in there, but they start hearing them in the next room talking about, ooh, aliens are taking over our school, right? So they decide to like try to play a prank on them, and Josh Hartnett comes in like acting like he's sick and he's like been infected or whatever. But then Jon Stewart actually comes in and confronts them, attacks them basically. And Josh Hartnett rips off, does one of my favorite things in old movies, where he rips the arm off of one of those old fashioned paper cutters.
Well, they
So
do
he
it
basically
more recently. They did it in Mithrigan. Also, where she
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I guess.
But here it's great.
You just don't see those much anymore.
Yeah, it's
so,
true. But
you
like
know,
they were
there's-
all over our high school. Like I remember like,
Yeah,
growing up,
sure.
but
yeah,
no,
we're old.
yeah, true. It's true. But what I really like is like they do it in the most epic way, where it's just like super low floor shot, like and he rips it off of the thing in slow motion, and little bits of gears and stuff come everywhere when he pulls it, like when he pulls the blade.
Yeah,
off
he
of the
grabs
machine.
it and he has to
He
like
just kick
kicks
it with his
loose.
legs.
Yeah,
It looks like it's like Sword from the Stone kind of shit. Like it's so fun, and it's all in slow mo. And I love like the heightened shit. Like it's
And
so
he-
silly.
Yeah, so he uses it and he cuts off Jon Stewart's fingers.
And you go, yeah!
Yeah, and then the fingers all go skittering across the room on their own. Also
haunted house
looks
shit.
very bad. He's got like
super
the
smooth CG.
the tendrils coming out of his fingers. They end up taking Josh Hartnett takes one of his drug pens and he stabs Jon Stewart in the eye. And so that's when they learn that the drug will kill the aliens. It starts like foaming like a fucking baking soda volcano.
I like it too because like it doesn't happen immediately. Like he's walking around the room with the pen stuck in his eye, and they do the classic like prosthetic eye, bit. Jon Stewart kind of gets to ham it up some because earlier on when he's looking at the fish and he's still human, like the fish bites his finger and he overreacts to it and he swears really loud in front of all the kids, and it shows that like he doesn't have a great tolerance for pain, and I like that carries on into him being an alien creature. That like when his fingers get chopped off, he's really upset about it. And even
you would be too if your fingers got chopped off.
Well, that's what I like about these aliens is like again they don't always play them up as stoic. Like they still crack jokes, they're still doing silly stuff. There's still like humanity in them, and even though they're like these other creatures,
they're harder to detect.
They still have personality.
Yeah, thank you. And like, I
wouldn't say they're.
It makes the
human,
kills
but...
like so much more fun. Like, so yeah, he's still like going like fuck.
That sort of ultimately becomes the whole thing, right? Is that it's not unlike Invasion of the Body Snatchers, where the pod people are like totally emotionless drones. In this, it's like it's a little bit more like they're playing against their archetypes, right? Like the Femke Jensen alien, like once she's infected, she becomes, like real hot and sultry and
a
like
Femke Fatale.
Yeah, sure. I'll allow it. Yeah.
Yeah, she puts on the red dress and all that.
Right, exactly. So it's like all of the Robert Patrick character, like when we see him as a coach at the beginning, he's like constantly losing his temper. He's yelling and screaming at the kids and throwing shit. And then when he's infected, he's more stoic. I kind of like that since he's the first one, that's how they kind of like set up the Invasion of the Body Snatchers thing, but then kind of subvert it.
Yeah, well, he goes from being an asshole coach to a friendly guy.
Yeah, friendly is not really the right word, but not
the
more in control.
Is when the jock, decides to stop playing football, he goes and
to tell the
coach,
yeah,
and where he expected the coach to just blow up on him, the coach was very nonplussed.
Yeah, he's like,
very understanding.
I wouldn't want to stand in the way of like you pursuing your education. And he's like, oh well, thanks for understanding. I appreciate you not like chewing me out or whatever. He's like,
we've got this big game next week where this
tomorrow
team will absolutely crush us unless you're there. But that must mean that you really want this. So
yeah,
go for it.
He's like, well, thanks for not blowing up on me. And he's like, what kind of a human being would I be if I did that? I'll tell you what kind. A real human being.
And a real
hero. Yeah, just like Sullenberger.
Now, like, any skepticism over aliens is done with,
yeah.
Right? Like...
And we've got our core group of characters together, and I like after this they're immediately like, we gotta get the fuck out of here. And I like the scene of them like leaving the high school because they're sort of realizing how many people are already infected. The aliens come from an aquatic planet, so they have to stay wet. That's
stay wet. Hashtag stay wet.
We out here staying wet, folks.
So funny following Smile too.
Yeah, really. Well, I mean, again, there are a lot of people just chugging water in this. I like that scene in particular, like as they're walking out of the high school and sort of like everybody is watching them and like following them with their eyes. Like that's kind of classic Invasion of the Body Snatchers thing. But like every few, like in the crowds, like every few people just have giant plastic bottles of water that they're just like chugging from.
They do a great visual gag just slightly earlier in the faculty lounge where they have a water cooler and they have jugs of water, and as more and more people get infected, they bring in more and more jugs to the point where like half the wall is just jugs of water.
So funny.
I like how the water thing kind of plays to the history teacher going the Daniel von Bargen character going against his type 2 because he's an alcoholic. Like we see him with his like little flask in his cubby or whatever.
Well, no, also like he's given up to the point where like he's teaching a history lecture at the beginning and he's just drinking out of like a big stein.
Yeah,
like
and his like hands are shaking. I love it so funny. He's like, okay, we're on chapter 4. We're talking about so and so, such and such, and then the jock is like,
"This is my moment."
He's like, actually, Mister whatever, we talked about that last week, and this week we're on chapter 4, and the teacher's just like, he's like, whatever. But
Alright, fuck it. Yeah.
but
the big sign that he's changed.
the big sign that he's changed is he gets really serious about it. Instead of like drinking booze in class, he's drinking water, which serves the dual purpose of being like detoxing from alcohol, but also because he's an alien and needs to stay wet.
And this week, I want all of you to write down your family history.
Oh, God, yeah.
Starting with all of the people in your immediate family. Those are the people living with you, and
where they live,
and exactly where they live,
and then move on to your extended family.
And so it's like, is this for the test? He's like, this is the test. That's great. It's fucking funny, man. Like the dialogue rules.
So after this, we get a sort of big important scene. This is this movie's version of the Thing blood test scene.
Yeah.
They go back to Josh Hartnett's house where like his parents aren't really in the picture, so he's just got like a straight up like meth lab set up in the garage where he's manufacturing his biker crank.
I want to talk about how insane this is because they just get every vial and beaker and glassware science thing they can find.
Yeah, reanimator.
Yeah. And
yeah, it looks like a mad scientist
put it
lab.
together. But one of the funniest things, and one of the things that kind of makes it fall apart, but in a funny way, is you can tell this was for the censors, but on the table, they have he has a thing of like caffeine pills. The new girl is asking like, "Is that what you're giving as drugs?" And he's like, "Don't tell anyone," and he covers it up.
Well, it's a secret ingredient.
Yeah, he says it's that and a few other household things.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, his speed or whatever is essentially just like refined caffeine pills with like some bleach and like some other shit mixed in. Like,
well, I think the implication too with him having diarrhea medicine in his car is that was mixed in as well, or anti-diarrhea medicine, because that dries you up a little bit.
well, what he tries to give Famke Jensen is laxatives, which does not.
Oh,
which
yeah,
is
that's
the
true.
opposite.
That is.
Yeah, I don't think he's putting the laxatives in the. But caffeine is a diuretic. So the fact that it's such concentrated.
Yeah, to me, like the whole caffeine pill thing was again for the ratings board and the censors being like, oh, they're not tweaking off drugs, they're just tweaking off a caffeine.
I mean, why would they need to do that for the ratings board, though? Like, this is an R-rated movie. It's full of blood.
Teenagers snort cocaine.
We see the new girl's tits for, like minutes at a time at the end of the movie.
But you don't see nipple.
Yeah, you do.
No, they're covered. They're covered because she's alien.
Okay, yeah. I mean...
Were they?
You can still kind of see that.
Yeah, we can go back and Mr. Skin it if you want.
We
There's
don't
no
need,
nipple.
We
there.
don't need to do that. But I mean, like, I'll give you that. But like, why can't they show teenagers using drugs in an R-rated movie?
Well, I just think Dimension would be
maybe
around that.
Well, but I mean, okay, so the point after this is that they realize that like the drug hurts the aliens, right? So then they're like, okay, how do we know who here like is safe? Like any one of you could be an alien, any one of you could be the thing.
Yeah.
It's the thing. So they each have to take a dose of scat to prove that they're not one of the aliens. And like does get them high. Like, they are, like, tweaking on it.
Particularly Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood, well,
doing
he's
the silliest giggle.
He's the first one who does it, and, like, he starts
He hands him the thing, and he's like, why me first? And he says, what is this? It's so funny.
It's your birthright something like that.
I love that.
But he starts acting high, and the jock, like, pulls the gun on him. He's like, why are you acting so weird? And Josh Hartnett's like, he's tweaking, bro. Just let him tweak. which I think is very funny.
This rules. I love this. Like, it's the thing, but, like, the big tell is, and the thing that kills the creatures is drugs, so they have to dare to do drugs, and drugs win the day for them is awesome. Like, what a delightful subversion.
The drugs are their secret weapon, and also their mechanism for knowing who's human and who isn't. I like before they figure out, or they decide to use the drugs as a test, they're like, basically, accusing each other of being aliens. Like, well, you've been acting strange because you just quit the football team right before the big game. Oh yeah, well, you've been acting strange because I've never seen you wear your glasses before. It's like, oh,
you've been strange because you're suddenly not a lesbian.
Yeah, it's like, you're strange because you like when did you start liking boys all of a sudden? It was like, we didn't mention that, but her thing is that she has like a big crush on the
football man.
Yeah, the goth girl has the big crush on the jock, and she knows like all of his big plays at like the games and stuff because she crushing. But I like them all just sort of like pointed. It's like, hey, you're not the stereotypical jock archetype. You're not the stereotypical Josh Wine archetype. You don't want to fuck your dad. Nobody's gonna get that.
No. I don't get that.
The Josh Wine commercials.
Oh, yeah, the Josh Sellers.
Yeah, Josh Sellers. Yeah, Josh Wine and the commercials with the.
Where he talks about the smell of his dad.
Yeah, about how his
his father.
Yeah, how musky and rough his dad's hands are and stuff like that.
God, they just get weirder and weirder, those commercials. Yeah. Okay, well now they have context. All right.
Yeah, now you get it.
Yeah.
I mean, the Josh became a little bit of a meme on Twitter a little while ago, but I never saw anybody talking about the commercials where he clearly wants to fuck his dad, and like that's the funniest part about it to me.
It's
like,
hard to find those commercials. It was like I made that joke with some friends, just assuming they'd like seen those commercials.
Every now and then, I'll still get them on Hulu.
Yeah.
It's rare.
Well, but the Hulu run, like, it was hard for me to find the Hulu run on YouTube. Like, mostly it's the more normal looking Josh Sellers ads, and so you look like a crazy person when you try and show them to other people. I think I did.
It's like, yeah, what's this wine commercial? It's like, no, can't you read the subtext? He wants to fuck his dad.
Okay. We've gone way off script, or off, whatever.
Yeah, just because I said Josh instead of Jock.
Yeah.
So tonight we let the Josh do the talking. I don't even remember where I was going.
He's
with
a jock.
That.
Yeah, the archetypes.
Oh, it's like, it's like you're not acting like a typical jock. Yeah. Like, you're not acting like a typical like popular girl or whatever.
Yeah. Who is the thing?
Who is the thing? It does turn out to be Jordana Brewster at the end.
Who, of course, is the very last one to go to take the thing, so everyone else is already kind of tweaked out of their gourd a little bit, which is great because we get to see everyone's reaction to being a little tweaked.
Yeah, she does it at the same time
as the new girl.
Beth.
Yeah,
it's important to know.
For later. And so she reveals that she's a fucked up alien, and they all try and go after her, but they're all...
She manages to escape.
Yeah, in silly fashion. She busts through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man. That's
hell yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's great too because she runs out of the house, and we see waiting out in the street is the one of the evil teachers, but they're in the student driver car. And so they take off in the student driver car, which is very cute. Like, because they're these menacing, like, evil, like, aliens that are taking over everything, but they're still like using all the quaint aspects of the school faculty to do their bidding, and I think that's
that
great.
Aspect really reminded me of Class of '99.
Yes,
I was gonna say the same thing. Yeah. So they figure again from sci-fi movie logic, and it's one of those things. I think that it's supposed to be like a little joke that, like, even though they're pulling from just like fiction that it all is correct. Like, all of the assumptions they make are true. But they figure, okay, well, this is these aliens are part of like a hive mind or whatever. So if we can find the queen bee, and kill that alien, then all of the others will die, and theoretically everybody should go back to being normal.
But where is the queen? The big game.
And
Cue rock music.
Yeah, it must be the principal, because she's the head of the school. So, they take a bunch of doses of the drugs and they head off to the big game.
But what hasn't been destroyed at the lab? Because what's-her-face destroyed the lab before leaving.
Yeah, right.
So they have a limited supply. They've only got so much of their drug that kills the aliens left.
Right. That kills the aliens, but also lets them know who's still human. Right. So they have to.
It's good tension.
Yeah.
So it kind of gives them a cool reason to.
Yeah, it's like your health and your gun at the same time. In a video game. Imagine if every time you shot a gun, it took a little bit of your health. It's just like that.
I guess so. Except, when they get injured, the speed doesn't heal.
It doesn't matter. So they go to the big game. They go to the big game, and they manage to lure the. I'm trying to move us along a little bit. They lure the principal into the gym while everybody else is out on the football field, and they tie her up in the net, the volleyball net, and shoot her, and she comes back to life. It's like, okay, she's one of the aliens, and the new girl they have some of the pins full of the scat, but they also have like a jar with like the
big dispenser jar.
Yeah, that has like the remaining amount, and in her panic, the new girl grabs it and throws the whole thing into the principal's
it's a cool,
face.
Why would you do that moment? Footnote.
Yeah, footnote on
Which
that.
Which is cool. I like that.
I do too. But so they throw so much on the principal that she basically just like dissolves.
Big practical dummy dissolve too. Oh fuck! I just wanted to touch on this while we're talking about the practicals again. The much earlier on in the film, when the teens are in the closet and there's the dead body.
Yeah.
And they come back later, and the evil faculty have switched it out with a CPR dummy to make it look like Elijah Wood is bad. They didn't just use, like, a standard CPR dummy. They made their own head for it that has, like, the silliest, smuggest look on it.
Yeah.
And I thought that was, like, such a wonderful touch. Because they could just use, like, any CPR dummy. But instead it's just one that just puts so much more, like, cartoon emphasis on the scene, where it's like, you dumb idiot. Like, I think it's really charming.
I thought that was fun.
There's so much, like, personality.
It is a goofy wig, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's like, between that and again like the big dissolve and like all these fun little elements, like this everything is always like played up with like cartoonish intent. It's really joyful.
So the principal melts, and they're like, okay, well, was she the queen? Like, did we have to? Somebody has to go figure it out. So the jock volunteers to run back out and see what's going on. He does, and sees the whole football team and the coach standing out in the rain and
looking like freak creatures.
Yeah, looking like freak creatures and basking in the wet. Yeah. And
I like the CG overlay too with him, where he's got like the big teeth under his skin and he becomes translucent like the creatures for a second.
Yeah,
I thought that was very fun.
But anyway, he gets got, and he comes back, and they've locked him out, and they're like, you have to prove that it's you. So they like slide the last dose of the drug under the door, and he picks up and he acts like he's about to sniff it, and then he pours it out, revealing that
evil.
I'm the alien. And so then they're like, oh fuck, what are we going to do? And Josh Hartnett remembers, hey, I think I might have a few extra doses in my car, so let's go out and get those. That whole thing is a great scene with Elijah Wood having to be like the decoy and running away from all of these like alien football players, like still all in their gear, and Josh Hartnett gets to the car, and he is confronted once again by sexy Famke Janssen.
This is always great. I always love the subversion movies where like the dude is confronted by evil hot lady and he wants nothing to do with it.
the trope would be like he knows that she's evil, but he's too beguiled by how sexy she is.
He really doesn't give a shit.
He's just like, no.
And it's and he tries to like leap into his car to grab the rest of the stuff, and she bursts in through the window on the side, and he peels out in a way that spins her and flips her into the back seat of the car.
Yeah,
and like that's great. And then like it continues on with him. He hits full gas, and he impacts with
he manages to buckle his seatbelt last minute.
He buckles up for safety, and he hits the school bus, and there's this incredible they got this from multiple angles, like this huge explosion with the Mustang and the school bus, and we see like a wonderful like ragdoll fly out of the car and through
a mannequin in Femke Jensen's clothes fly out. It's so fucking funny.
Amazing. It's so fucking good. I was.
And we get another little thing moment where her head comes along on some like very bad looking CGI tentacles and crawls back over to the body.
That's, I think, the most like cartoon CG that's in the movie too.
Oh yeah, it's
so
very
silly.
good. I think I like it though. I think it's funny. Yeah, she picks the head up and like puts it back on her body. But during all of this, is it the goth girl who's back at the gym with the new girl? Yeah, okay, yeah. They're waiting for them, and it's revealed that the new girl is the queen alien. You know, the whole thing started right around the time she showed up, so of course she is.
I love her monologue too, because she's talking, referring back to kind of the story about how in Body Snatchers the aliens win, right, and how that may not be necessarily a bad thing, because you fall into the archetype and you can be happy within those archetypes. And it's kind of...
Yeah, she's like, aren't you, like, wouldn't you like to stop having to hide who you really are? I sure know that I would. And she sprouts big tentacles, big CG tentacles.
There is one shot in that whole sequence I really like, and that's when she's the big monster in the... It's corny, but she's the big monster in the pool, and as the camera pulls like forward, up, and around, she does like a sweep in the pool, she becomes like just the girl again, swimming. And it's corny, but it's fun. Like I really like that shot.
I mean, another great example would be like the scene after that when she's in the locker room and she's in human form, but her shadow
has all of the tentacles,
which is just pure cartoon logic, and I love that.
No, I thought it was cool though.
It makes absolutely no sense, and it rules.
No, I thought that was great. Yeah, and the goth girl gets infected in the pool, and like everybody's getting infected, and basically it ends up so we're breezing through all of it, but it's very good.
Fine.
The movie's worth watching. And so we end up with like just Elijah Wood and Josh Hartnett left. But Josh Hartnett gets hurt or something.
He gets hurled across the room, like over all the lockers into one of the back.
Yeah, so we end up with just Elijah Wood left, and he's got he's got like 2 or 3 of the doses of scat left, and so the alien she reveals her big true monstrous form and becomes a big puppet.
Yes.
Which is great.
Yeah, wide shots, CG creature, close-ups, big puppet.
Yeah.
Awesome. Again, perfect. That's how you do it.
And so she starts chasing Elijah Wood, and he runs back into the gym and hits the button on the wall that starts like closing the bleachers, and he jumps behind the bleachers, and he's running through, and he's diving through all of the bars and stuff as the monster starts to follow him. But at the very end, he dives out just in time before it closes.
It's very Indiana Jones style,
Yeah, on the last one, he just does like a straight like dive, tuck and roll through the last one.
It's great.
He's sort of been climbing and clambering through all the other ones.
Well, it's great because like there's several other times in the movie where they're running from the creatures, and he has an amazing pratfall where he slips and busts his ass. Or like he falls out the window at his home. Like he's constantly like bumbling. So at the very end, he does this like he has this hero's arc where he does like a cool gymnastic
Well,
leap.
yeah, and it's kind of fun because he's like the only one of these characters who has not had like a notable departure from his archetype at this point. Like he's still just kind of always been like the nerdy kid. Like even though he is sort of taking on a leadership position, a lot of times he's still secondary to like the cool Josh Hartnett, So at this point, like, yeah, he seizes the mantle of hero. And at the last minute gets out of the bleachers, and they close and trap the big puppet monster, and he takes the pens, the last few doses, and stabs them right into the monster's eye, and kills it and wins the day.
But while it's dying, we get this awesome practical on his face of all the slugs, because it spits slugs at him.
Oh, yeah.
At the very end while it's dying, and they're all digging into his skin. And it reminded me of Arnold in with the big practical Arnold head in Total Recall.
Total Recall.
Like it's and also like the Thing with like the warpy like practical dummy heads and
Yeah,
stuff.
I don't think that's a dummy head though. It's still Elijah Wood. It's just
I think it's mostly like Elijah Wood with like practicals, but I think there was like one shot where it was kind of hard to tell because like his face gets so warped in a few like close-ups. But
yeah, I think it is always his head with like with makeup on his cheeks to sort where the slugs are like digging into his face.
Most of it, I could have sworn, but maybe it's just that.
It
still looks very fun.
It's a good effect.
Big practical.
And like the monster dies and like the slugs die and fall out of his face. It's like, ooh, just at the last minute, right when he was in his moment of need, he was able to triumph.
Well, it's a really resourceful way to show that all of the people elsewhere are still like they get to be people again without showing it. Like it's very economical for him in the scene to have the slugs like entering his face and they all die, showing that like, oh, cool.
They were right. Yeah,
we can assume that
kill the queen. Everybody else, is.
Because you could have also just had like a bunch of pickups with all the characters, and I think that like this is it's just more economical for pacing, and it's also more economical like literally economically.
Yeah. And then they just jump to like 1 month later for the epilogue of the film, and we see where everybody is now and how they're they've thrown off the shackles of expectations. They've become who they've always meant to be. Josh Hartnett is on the football team now for some reason. I don't remember him expressing a desire to do that in the movie. That felt a little bit. And he is having a full-blown relationship with Femke Janssen because she's like sitting in the bleachers like watching him practice. I like how he goes off to the sidelines. He like takes his helmet off and just like puts a cigarette in his mouth, like feels like a very like 50s thing to do. It's like football players just smoking cigarettes on the sidelines. The goth girl is no longer pretending to be a lesbian and nor goth any longer.
She still got her goth chain, like
yeah. That was the funny thing is like she's wearing
she's
like
still kind of
she's wearing like a floral.
She's dynamic. She contains multitudes.
She's wearing like a floral dress and like a cardigan, but yeah, she still has all of her goth jewelry on.
Yeah.
And she's dating the jock guy now, who's now on the football. He's not the jock anymore. He's the good student. It's like the Good Doctor, but for students. And of course,
they're both good.
Elijah Wood and Jordana Brewster are dating now, and he is like the big hero, and she's done like multiple stories on him in the school paper about how he saved the school and everything, and all of the local like towns news stations are just hanging out around the school trying to like get a scoop. And they've just been hanging around for like a month. It's like it's the only news that's happening in the town.
Yeah, because it's so hot.
Yeah, because it's so
Well, he was on the cover of Time as well, like
right, right. But we also hear like the newscaster like at the beginning of this scene being like, things are back to normal at after the disappearance of, or after the mysterious death of several of the faculty here at the school. We don't know if the reports of an extraterrestrial invasion are real or not, but we're here trying to find out. It's like, so they don't even know if the alien thing happened, but for some reason Elijah Wood is on the cover of Time magazine. For what? What did he do?
Once again, don't think about it.
In the context of the rest of the world, he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the credits roll, and there's a cover of
Terrible cover.
a very bad '90s cover of David Bowie's Changes, and and the movie's over, and it was very good.
Yeah.
Any other points y'all want to hit before we rate, boys? Yeah, I guess I will start. I was surprised to see that this movie has a pretty low score on Rotten Tomatoes, both audience and critical. I thought this movie was really fun. I had a blast with it. I'm going to give it a strong 4 out of 5.
Yeah, in some respects, this does feel like a riff on the Scream formula, except with different source material. You bring in Kevin Williamson and you riff on, Invasion of the Body Snatchers and sci-fi a little bit more than slasher. But that's fine. It's a good time, and I think Robert Rodriguez directs this well. And again, the cast is stacked full of great character actors. It's a fun time. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 as well.
Yeah, a movie does not always have to be original. It just has to be quality in my eyes, and I think this movie, holds to that quite well. Oh, there actually was something I did forget, and that is during the end credits. We do see that Jon Stewart's character is somehow still alive, and he has an eye patch, and he's trying to eat a donut, and he drops it because he
doesn't have any fingers.
His fingers were cut off, but he is still alive somehow. Very silly.
Yeah, he killed the alien, but he somehow survived.
Yeah, even though they look pretty dead, and that's great. That's good. Just one, they just dig in one more silly subversion at the end. I'm gonna agree with you guys. I think a strong 4 out of 5 is exactly what this movie hits. Frankly, I don't think I have any notes on the film. I like it very much for what it is. It feels wrong to give it a 5, and I think a 4 is right where it needs to be, a strong one.
I think it does exactly what it sets out to do, but I mean, a 5 is something that's kind of...
Yeah, and even a 4.5, it's a little much, but it's a very, very strong 4. I would highly recommend it. It brought me a great deal of joy.
Yeah.
I'm really glad it was a pick.
I would too. Well, that's a unanimous 4 out of 5 for Robert Rodriguez's The Faculty, and just kudos to Zach. You get another great pick, bud. Last one we did was Mirrors, and that was
a trip.
A less good movie, but man, what a fucking fun time!
Good to talk about.
What a good ride. So Zach, keep picks like this coming, because boy, do I appreciate them.
Same.
Before we get to next week, we do have some unfinished business from last week.
Yes.
We have prediction results for Smile 2.
Now that the dust has settled and opening weekend is over, we'll start with box office. I predicted 19 mil. Cleve, you predicted $110 million.
Jesus Christ.
And TC predicted 25 mil. It was 23 mil.
Ooh, okay. Man. Good, man.
Nice and close.
I did bad on the last one.
Rotten Tomatoes, I said 77. Cleve, you said 79. TC said 72. It's currently sitting at an 85.
Hey, good.
Oh, yeah.
Deserved.
Good for Smile 2. Yeah.
Agreed. Collective rating, I said 3.7. Cleve, you said 3.5. TC said 3.8.
Oh.
Yes.
Hey,
nice. It was I think our collective was a 4.2.
Yep. Cleve and I said I would give it the highest rating. TC said you would give it the highest rating.
We were all wrong. It was Cleve.
Wrong, yeah.
Cleve gave it the highest rating.
I love that movie.
Surprisingly, because you gave the first one the lowest rating out of all of us. Nice.
I stand by both. Yeah. I was also surprised to like it as much as I did.
Yeah, great flick.
Additional comments. I said we'll be smiling from all the weird shit in this movie.
Very accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cleve, you said please more monster.
That didn't really happen, but that's okay.
I'm glad. I'm glad I didn't get what I wanted. I got something better.
And Tease, you absolutely nailed it here. You said there will be some kind of event, concert, convention, etc., where many people will be infected with the curse all at once.
Yeah.
So I did nail that. I will say, not to take away from my correct prediction, I did expect it to be... I made that prediction before we had any trailers or anything. I was expecting it to be the inciting incident rather than happening at the end.
Well, yeah,
so
that'll be in Smile 3, the
So
Smile
I
Wars.
was correct, but it fell at a different point in the movie than I was expecting. But I'll still take it.
Yeah, so it seems like we're pretty neck and neck.
Good.
We,
we do not have many films left this year.
The only actual movie, we're not going to count the Night Bitch predictions.
Yeah, no, I think that's fine.
I'm very okay with that.
Because we're not going to cover it because it's not a horror movie.
I'm very okay with that.
So the only movie left is Crazy House.
Crazy House,
We
yeah.
predicted in the first half of the year.
Which is not next week's episode. That'll be coming a little bit later. Instead, next week's episode, we're moving on to my pick. And I am choosing one of my favorite films of the last decade that I'm very excited talking about. We're delving back into the world of action horror. And so we're going to talk about Jeremy Saulnier's Green Room.
Speaking of Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, speaking of
That's why
Patrick
he was
Stewart,
on your
yeah,
mind.
Exactly. Yeah, I was thinking I was getting ready for next week's episode. Yeah, I fucking love Green Room. I've seen it a bunch of times.
Me too.
Not a conventional horror film by any means, but horrifying in many ways and really gruesome.
So much.
Yeah,
I think it would be great for us to talk about.
plenty to talk about, and I'm looking forward to it. So join us next week for our review of Green Room. Until then, if you like the show, be sure to subscribe, follow us, leave us a 5-star rating and a review, all of that good stuff. Head over to Patreon, throw us a few bucks. $5 a month will get you Discord access. $10 a month will get you that. Plus, you get to be an honorary pod boy and give us suggestions for episodes like this. Shout out to our honorary pod boys, Sam, Zach, Micah, and Mitchell. Special shout out to Zach for curating this week's episode. And last but not least, you can follow us at letterboxd.com/podpeoplepod, where you'll find a list of all the films we've talked about on the show with our average ratings and links to those reviews. For my recommendation this week, I'm going to talk about a very thematically similar film to this one. Kind of hack again, I guess, because they just talked about it on Movie Mindset, so that's why I'm thinking about it. But David Cronenberg's Shivers, one of his very early films, which is also about people being infected by weird slug monsters that crawl into their bodies and take over them, but in this one they become orgy zombies. So yeah, it's an early Cronenberg. It's rough around the edges, but much like all of his work, you can sort of see how this film informed many of his other films to come and some of those early ideas. It's worth watching. I think it's on Tubi. So, Shivers.
Yeah, well, for my recommendation, I want to say go watch more Robert Rodriguez movies. I mean, obviously the El Mariachi trilogy is like where he got his start. The first movie was made for like $800, and it's a fucking banger action movie. But they're all great. But the movie I really want to highlight is Alita Battle Angel, which he directed, which is surprisingly good.
I never did end up seeing that one. I always thought it looked terrible.
Me too.
But
it's actually very, very good.
You're not the only person I've heard say that.
Yeah, I've heard that from other people too. Yeah.
Like the eyes are obviously like a point that kind of push people away, but it has a narrative reason. and it's very smartly made and smartly scripted.
Well, they did
Christoph Waltz is great. Rose Salazar, who's Alita, is fantastic in it.
They did a Sonic thing with it, right? Where they put out a trailer and people hated how Alita looked so much that they went back and touched up the face to make it a little bit less uncanny.
Yeah, I mean, it's still uncanny in the movie.
Sure,
but
and I understand
again,
there's some
it's
intent behind that,
She's
but it is
emotionally
they did before Sonic had human teeth. There was Alita
it wasn't
Alita
as
Battle
drastic, whatever touch-ups they did.
No, I think she was just a little bit, if I recall correctly, because I remember seeing both trailers, I think she was just like a little bit more anime-y originally.
It makes sense because it's based on an anime.
Right.
So,
Cleve, you got anything this week?
Fuck, did I recommend drink water for Smile too?
I don't think for Smile 2, but you have recommended drink water more than once lately.
Drink water.
Yeah.
Drink. You know what? I recommend drink water more than once.
Stay hydrated.
Keep drinking water.
You'll dry out if you don't.
You'll dry out. You'll become a husk. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Stay wet out there. Don't dry up. We'll be luxuriating in a puddle of
in the muck,
our own
vibing in my element,
wet.
in my ooze.
Good night.
You gotta keep them separated.